Jason.
But at least it's 2 weeks.
Make sure I show her.
Yeah.
Well, make her go home, right?
Our guests now will be screened.
So let's get the May agent mastermind thing going here. So maybe just kind of throw it out. What have you guys seen in the market right now that we can discuss? Anybody want to start with a topic?
Wine sales are going up because it's very stressful.
What was that, sorry?
The wine sales are going up because it's very stressful.
Oh.
Well, maybe that's just in my house, I don't know.
Wine sales are going up because it's very stressful. You guys are all right, John? Well, I guess that's a good thing.
I guess I would say, and I mean, I interact on a different level with most of our team, but there is a good deal of stress. On the collection of these very nice and important folks in front of them. And I think that's an interesting topic.
Yeah. Stress?
How do we deal with that? How do we handle that? I mean, what are we doing to make things easier for ourselves? Those sorts of things.
Anybody got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's fascinating. Psychology right now in the business is like the fullest pipeline I've ever had, and nothing's flowing through it.
Yep.
Fullest pipeline, but nothing's flowing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like usually when you have someone on your pipeline, there's a deal in 3 months, there's a deal in 4 months, and I'm looking at several of these couples that are mostly buy-sell combos. That kind of this juncture in my career, and I'm wondering, these people will have a house by Christmas or not?
Yeah.
You know, and so that's probably lack of predictability, I think. And then of course the rates.
Yeah, that's,
You gotta take the long view. Rates are cyclical and this and that, but
you know, what I'm hearing is, they could go up, what, 4 more times before the end of the year.
My loan officer told me last week that they expect Armageddon. They expect easily it to be 5.5 to 6 this summer. But he and all of his people at Home Depot or whatever thinks that by the end of the year or first quarter, we'll see high 3s, low 4s again.
Good.
And I think it's by first quarter, maybe December, but first quarter. Which that's where we talk about integrity. If that's the advice we have to give our people, to wait to buy when rates are better, if they're on that, where it really matters. Or you talk to them about getting in there now and then refinancing. But it's also hedging the bet, like the uncertainty, just like before the election, the uncertainty right now with inflation and finances and the misconception about, the housing market's gonna crash. This is just like 2008. No matter how many times we get out there and try to educate, that's still the perception. So just dealing with what we can control and what we know today. And that's that rates are at 4.75 or 5. They could get worse.
Yeah.
You can always refinance if they go down, but what if they get worse? Then you're talking about the same people 2 years ago that said, I'm gonna wait because I think housing prices will go down. Well, you lost out on 50,000 of equity by waiting 2 years.
I'm just hoping with the rates going up a little bit, that it'll calm down this 50,000 over and losing. It's so stupid.
it's a blessing.
Oh my God. The rates going up, you mean? Yeah.
So I think you bring up an interesting point. You say, that people are unsure. And I wouldn't ask for a hand poll, but who in this issue? And when you consider your own impact on the transaction, what does that do? So I think you also brought up an interesting anecdote or antidote to that, and that is providing all the relevant information to let them be the guide through that. You're the guide, but here's everything that you can expect to see on this journey. And we don't know which path this is going to take, but there are a couple paths this might go, and I think that's really relevant. And I think because you're unsure. I hope if you're certain, then I'd like to meet you and we can can go buy some lottery numbers. But the reality is, everybody here really knows. And we really, I remember 2 years ago, a joke being posted, man, I just wish we could return to precedented times. And we are, I mean, we're in another place of where it's just continued. No one,
New territory.
no economist out there who can tell you facts has ever encountered this set of facts before. This is a very different set of facts. There are a lot of indicators out there that would suggest things are changing. I mean, you know about bond inversion curves and all those kinds of stuff. That's one path. But there is one person out there right now, Gary Keller, who's telling you it's time to work on shift. And I would suggest that when John Lynn launches shift for the book club, which is coming up like,
I think there's only 2 more.
like
Six
next
chapters,
week,
so.
he's shift
Yeah,
in the book club from MREA to shift,
yeah.
that you get in there. I mean, how do we not, at least that we could all be on the same page, or at least learning together.
What I was gonna say, to piggyback off of what Jason said, is you're absolutely right. Are we sure, right? Meaning, I think the scripts look different now than they did 3 months ago, right? And I think the scripts that we use to talk to our clients and to convert business could change again here in 3 or 4 weeks, right? There's an agent in the market center that took an $850,000 listing last night in Prior Lake. Do you know why she took that listing? Or how she took it? Using onward financing in her presentation. Right? So when's onward financing coming in to speak?
Next week.
Okay, you all need to be in the room for that.
Yeah.
And if you're unfamiliar, it basically, there's a couple different programs that they have. Dean, you probably know this better than me, but basically if it's a seller who also wants to buy and they have equity in their home, they can purchase, not contingent, not financing, and basically buy before they sell, because the concern of these folks, well, I don't want to be homeless. I can't sell my house. Where am I gonna go? There's nothing on the market. Boom, perfect. She inserts the onward script and got the listing, and they're buying at 1.1 to 1.3. So I think you brought up a great point. Are we sure? Well, if we're not sure, I mean, interest rates at 5%, we think are a really big deal, but it's how we handle it to our client. Of course, it's a higher, price, or it's a higher, payment for them than it was at 4. But really, is it when, they could, how many years ago were they 10, 15%, years and years, but it's perspective, right? We have to know our affordability index script, right? We have to know our script that it's 25% more expensive in the Twin Cities to rent than it is to own, right? Like, we have to get sharper with the market here, guys, as we're shifting.
And I think we have to be very careful when they're asking us for advice on interest rates and stuff like that. It's like, they really need to be talking to their lender.
Right, because
it's
what?
That's not our expertise.
Maybe they're just they're not even gonna care that it's 5% or could go up to 5, right? Like,
Yeah.
and then we're like, oh my God, the sky's falling, interest rates went up. And it's like, maybe that doesn't even matter because
I'm sorry,
of their
5%
situation.
is still cheap money.
Exactly.
I mean, it's still cheap money. And like you say, you can refinance later, but if I tell them, well, yeah, I really think it's gonna level off, or hey, it's gonna go way higher, and then they come back and say, well, I wish I would have done this different because you told me that. That's not my role to do that. That's between them and their lender.
Sure.
Whatever you're comfortable with, have that conversation with your lender, because
Yeah.
I'm not a finance person. I'm not your lender. So I think we have to be careful with that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And just real quick before,
Oh, you're
we've
fine.
just got a couple guests in the room, and
Oh,
so
yes,
just give them a
yes.
warm welcome. They're here to just listen. Tricia and Terry, thank you.
Sorry, Tasha.
I just got a text from a client asking me to send him the link. I need to get off my rear end. Rates are going crazy. With, like, as you guys were talking, right? So, really?
Yeah.
You're like, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Thanks for telling me.
I'm so glad you're finally listening.
Define crazy, right?
Yeah, right, it's relative.
As a script I've been using with my move-up buyers about rates, usually they're, like have a 450 buying a 750, and generally those people, they're reasonably financially savvy. They keep track of these things, and I'm saying to them, what about rates? And I said, well, people like you're not going to alter your decisions based on a point, right? I mean, you're going to do what you're going to do. You're going to keep living your life. You're going to make your next logical and blah, blah. So people, first-time home buyers that are like, their DTIs are coming in by the skin of their teeth, those are the people that are grinding right now. And it kind of makes them feel like, oh, you're right, I'm in a good spot and I'm already in the game and this isn't gonna be light bulb train money for me. I think we need to offer perspective, educated perspective.
Yeah. Does anybody else got a good script for this too?
Mine's basic. In the last 5 years that I've been doing this full time, the thing that I've come to the conclusion of where I have to breathe is people always want to buy, people always want to sell.
Yeah.
The more I put myself into a frenzy of, can I sell 40 homes this year? What am I going to do? I might not.
Yeah.
I might not. And the rates, things that are beyond my control are beyond my control. But
Yeah.
here's what I can say to everybody, whether you want to list now or you want to list later, because it is crazy. People will always want to buy.
Mm-hmm.
People will always want to sell.
Yep.
And I have realized that my frantic composure dictates
Yeah.
their sense of
Or you're
urgency.
calm.
If I'm calm and I mean, because legit, people always want to buy and sell,
Yeah.
even at 15% interest rates. I remember my parents competing. They're already in a frantic environment when you have 15 offers. They're already in a frantic environment when they hear everybody saying, the sky is falling. Breathe. People are always going to buy, people are always going to sell. And I've had to just check with that because the rates always are changing.
Yeah.
Crap always sucks up and down.
Right.
That's kind of, they're going to buy and sell. And I try to have that attitude. And it seems to kind of bring like, okay, a clear evaluation of what they want to do. Right. Because it eliminates some of that pressure of,
And
that's right.
analysis paralysis or whatever.
Yeah.
Eliminates that. Has anybody done a deal with the cash buyer program through New American yet?
I'm in the process right now,
Okay.
of getting them approved for it. So they need like the first, regular approval and then they have to approve for the buyer acceptance too, so. I'll let you guys know how those will be.
Just curious.
Christina, I say the same thing to people when they're talking about the seasons of buying. Because it's best to list in the spring. Best time to sell your home is when you're ready to sell your home, because you're committed to it. And the best time to buy a home is when you're ready to buy a home. Because there's always somebody who's buying and selling.
And post-pandemic, those lines were so blurred. Like normally July gets really, really quiet, not last year or the year before. Because, school wasn't starting in person in August or whatever. So now I feel like the lines of seasonality is totally blurred and irrelevant, really.
And I actually find it a selling point because whether it's selling now, buying now, how it's going to come out, it comes down to you hiring me because I'm a rock star. I'm going to do this for you. I mean, I'm not being arrogant, but it's like this is where I'm going to shine for you. So whether it is now or later, I'm going to navigate it in your favor.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of taking that seasons or the frantic, all of this craziness. I'm taking a Snoop Dogg attitude. Just
I like
chill.
that.
No, I don't
Dog
smoke
attitude.
weed.
Not that part.
Not that part.
Oh,
No.
that's fantastic.
Anybody else to add to that?
What are you seeing on your listings? Are you still seeing as many number of offers? What are you seeing with your
I didn't
buyers?
get
Like,
my post in the yard.
No,
Somebody drove by 3 times, emailed me or talked to my seller. Thank God she did not let them in the door because it's coming soon. Well, what happened was I was in Florida. And we were going to list, they bought a property on their own. He has several connections and he found an acreage. So I was super excited for him because we all know acreages are next to impossible to get. So they did that deal, which I'm gonna facilitate. And then I said, okay, I'm leaving for the month. Yep. So we're gonna list when I got home. Well, the neighbor across the street and down 2 doors, they listed. And he went in at $499 and I was like, oh my gosh, that's too high. I mean, because we were gonna start at like $475 and $480.
Nope.
And he goes, is that gonna hurt us or help us? And I said, oh, I love it. And I said, because I'm gonna watch what they do and see, because I said, there's plenty of buyers out there, we're fine, but I wanna see what happens on that house. So I waited a week and called the agent on that house and he goes, I started too high. I told them not to do it. They wanted to, and he goes, we're gonna lower it to $480 after today's showings. So I hurried up, got my paperwork in, Tammy, thank God helped me. We did coming soon the next day at $479. His is still for sale. and mine didn't even get a post in the yard.
Wow. I'm surprised by that, actually. I feel like
Yeah.
60 days ago, you probably would have gotten $4.99, don't you think?
They were,
Like, just
No, I think
feeding
mine
for.
were
it was too
What's
high,
that?
and I don't think the condition was as nice, and then when I came in
Sure,
and said we have a 3-season porch, we
Yeah.
have a 4-story garage,
yeah,
you know, I blasted all that out there, and
yeah.
You can't start, if you think it's gonna go for 5, but you can't start it.
You can't
No,
start it,
yeah,
You
right.
gotta let
never.
them fight it out.
Yeah, yeah.
Buyers are still savvy.
Yeah.
They're not going to do it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, and appraisals are starting to come back.
Yeah, are you guys seeing any like low appraisals?
I'm on the buy side thinking this, but
Yeah.
It's,
Okay, well,
People
how
are
are we
getting
protecting our buyers on this? On the buy side, are you guys writing in the appraisal gaps or,
up to a certain amount,
okay,
if it's that important to them.
Yeah.
We had that Eden Prairie listing, 47 showings. I sat and drank wine the night I put together the tab plus tab plus tab. Here's summary 1, here's 16 summaries. Some of them were writing 65,000
Yeah.
over on it, and I'm like, this is not gonna.
how many of them are cash?
None.
Wow.
I had none, and none using that financing,
People are
program.
tapping into their home, I mean, I'm gonna do it, tapping into our home equity
Yeah.
so that I can write cash
Yeah.
and beat out somebody.
It's nuts.
Or their 401k.
But back to what you said, I say this in my listing and presentation every single time, don't be a house that sells other houses. And that
Right.
other
Oh,
house
that's a
sold
good
yours really
point.
fast
Yeah.
because yours looked better.
And I kind of
It's a
felt
beauty
guilty for
contest, the best
other
value
people.
wins.
Wasn't anybody in our office.
That's a great script.
I was waiting for a phone call.
Or
saying,
your
"Thanks,
office,
I'm
Or your
sorry."
office.
That sounds familiar.
They're over here like, awkward, that was me.
Have you ever had an agent call them and ask them, or tell them that they've listed too low? Like, I'm going on the market on Friday at 420 and you listed at 380. You're gonna hurt me.
Wow.
What did
Wow.
you list at? I think they went at 220 and I haven't looked, they can't be closed yet because I'm not closed yet. But I mean, she just like,
Wow.
I said,
I have buyers that
and
do
so
that.
then I looked back and I looked at, she was the listing agent on a property that my buyer offered on at one point. She'd been on the market 35, 40 days when my buyer offered in this market. And I thought, well, you can't tell me how to list a house. I had 15 offers on our house
That
and
was
went well
interesting.
above, and she, I don't know, I've gotta look.
I've seen people complain on like Facebook realtor groups going, what's with these people who are, starting way too low and then you
Right.
get, 1,000 showings and 75 offers. And so, I mean, I've not had that happen, but
I mean, I think you have to, I try to come in a little low.
Right.
You can only go a little low.
That's the
And then-
strategy, man, if you ask
And
me.
you can't go a little high because you will become the one.
But there are some you walk in and you're like, okay, you're like $25,000 low or whatever, and come on, price it
But
competitive.
are they really
this is crazy.
$25,000 lower? Is it what this last year has been, that you walk into a house that's 400,000 with the expectation that it's gonna be 425, so 400 is too low? I do that, I'm not gonna lie. I walk in, if it's at 400, I'm like, well, is this accurate? Because I know it's gonna end up selling at 425, 450. But legit, if we weren't in this environment, would that be that price? Would that be where we would start? Which is, I don't want appraisal issues, and looking at things, evaluating number of bedrooms, bathrooms, going back, the last 365 days, and then I go back 2 years to see because the market is messed up.
But to
And
me, it's
compare that.
hedging your risk. I tell my clients, it's
Right.
hedging your, we can't underprice because the market will get us the multiple offers that we need. But right now, if you're on the market 7 days, literally my clients, what's wrong with this house? It hasn't sold. It's been a week. I'm like,
We get a deal?
"Oh,
We get a deal? We get a deal? Yeah.
But I offer 25 less. I'm sorry,
I'm gonna
bad
offer
connection.
50,000
Can you-
less.
I had an appraisal come back, well, it started at 550. Somebody threw out 595, ridiculous, no appraisal gap. And then there was
Are
a
you the
couple of
listing agent?
575.
You're the
Yeah,
listing- Okay, sorry.
and so then they ended up going with the 575 because 595 blew up or whatever. And it came back at 561, 14,000 below. But what I did is I just made sure I didn't cough up any cards right away and just kind of let them sweat it a little bit before my sellers. And they kept trying to figure out creative ways to come up with money. So I don't know what they did, but they somehow talked to their lender, got some lender credits, did some other things, and they they ended up, I just kind of held, I wasn't like being like hardball or anything, I just said, oh, well, just let us know what you can do, kind of whatever. And they ended up coming up with the money and they, you know, we're gonna close at 575, but so. But yeah, I mean, you could cough up too early and you could get your, you know, sellers and then nervous Nelly kind of thing, and it just kind of waited it out a little bit. Because they don't want to lose the house, you know, they're in love with the house, so they kind of want to make it work. Versus somebody coming in and saying, well, it only appraised, that's what we're gonna, you know, I think there's gonna be some buyers like that, but there's still gonna be more that want to make it work and kind of scramble to make it work.
Dean, what about that one that was in Richfield that was like 265 and then it sold for 350, right? Like,
They're afraid to.
It appraised?
like, isn't that insane?
Well, I know, that was the one I was about to say, the buyer's agent got a hold of me to yell at me because I set the expectation level too low for her buyers. She would say, I need you to send me over comps to calculate that price. I'm like, I don't really have time for that.
Wait, what?
Because
you can't do your job?
Right.
What a weird question, I know.
That's what I told the lady that said I was pricey low. I said, well, why don't you go ahead and send me the comps that you know, don't agree with. Or you're coming up with your number that you think I'm wrong.
But-
Send me.
There was 0 actives under,
I'm still waiting.
there was like 0 actives in Richfield under 375 at the time I listed. 0 in Richfield. I mean, it's like, it was just ripe for happening. All of a sudden, we're at a grandma house out there for 265. We have three clients out of those open houses.
Oh, nice, good for you.
I think my wife is better.
But people are loving, because houses don't stay on the market long enough. They're loving open houses, loving parade of homes right now,
Yeah.
because they get to just go through and look and get ideas of what they do want
Pretend.
without having to bug their agent, you know, oh, can we go, oh, it's sold, okay, never mind. Can we go see that? Oh, 20 offers and a kid, you know, they threw in a kid, just.
Kid me and a kid, whatever. One-stop shop.
What do you want?
Yeah.
Or he's kind of a stinker.
Like give them puppies or something.
You totally could, because you have so many.
Right. That would get you to take their offer, right?
We all love dogs, she does not.
Don't come to your house, oh boy, well, there just goes the recruiting effort.
We love her anyway.
I know, for some odd reason. We had an ethics hearing this morning, so let me just, stop for a second.
Am I in trouble?
No.
Okay, good.
You know, you'd be at the hearing.
Oh, got it.
Come on, baby.
Knock on wood, I haven't gotten in any trouble yet.
An interesting case study though, where the market was last fall to now, is I was listening to South St. Paul, is a 60 built Rambler 3.2 with no garage, and they had this horrible situation going on in their backyard, just like a catastrophic landscaping disaster that's gonna be $20,000-$30,000. Couldn't sell the house at 225. I couldn't sell this house, and it's like nice inside. Like no one would buy it, and then like the entry level buyers couldn't afford the fix, basically. And so it sat, and finally they just canceled, and we let it sit all winter long as canceled, and I'm gonna make it coming soon again in the next couple of days here. But just to test the waters, I did a little reverse prospecting blast. Just tell people, hey, you know, we're gonna be coming back out at the same price, 225 again. All of a sudden I've got 3 investors calling me, saying they would just give us 225 cash tomorrow to not list it. I'm like, well, what changed? Nothing. Absolutely nothing's changed other than just inventory and time.
When they don't have anywhere else to put the cash.
Well, there was no inventory then either.
So why didn't you buy it?
That's a question right there.
Why
Yeah.
didn't you buy it to the fix?
Because, you know,
He doesn't like renting.
I can do the 20%, but I can't do that fix.
What kind of catastrophic landscaping? So like a retaining wall
Yep.
that goes into the alley or street, or what do you mean?
Yes, basically, yes.
Oh, this
A big old, I should show you the picture. It's just, everything is ready to just collapse.
So what do you think, 30,000, 40, what kind of cost is that?
Yeah, I mean, like, we've had a bid for 25 just to raise it all. Just knock it all down and make it a hill, and up to 60,000 to rebuild, to re-tier it.
Wasn't a house.
It's huge. It's huge, and it's like a giant concrete. It was built like in the 60s, and yeah, it just scares the crap out of these FHA buyers. Like, they're just out immediately when they see it.
Yeah. Well, they probably couldn't get approved with it.
I just thought that was interesting that all of a sudden, I think investors, and I was just talking to Colin about that too, but the investor mindset has shifted a little bit right now, where it's like, grab what you can, if it's under a reasonable entry level price, grab what you can, make it work, you know. So I don't think if you're see what they want to do, I'll just have to see what happens when we're live again.
I got an interesting one. I had a client reach out. I don't know if any of you guys have had it. They bought 2 years ago in Rosemont's for $350, this beautiful 4,000 square foot townhome. Bought it at $350, and they got their tax assessment that says their property is now worth $492.
I've
And
had
I was-
probably 10 calls over the last 2 weeks.
And I was like,
about this.
wait, what? They're like, can you, I was like, what? I mean, they're
Counties,
elderly.
yeah, they've decided to catch up
So
5 years worth in 1 year.
okay, because they're thinking, is this the housing market? I'm like, let me run you comps. Here's what's sold, because they want to fight it. I'm like, you don't want to sell? But they've sent me money. They've sent me a few referrals. But so you guys are getting that
Oh,
too?
yeah.
A lot.
I have a past client who used to be an appraiser, now he is, he's working for, Eden Prairie, and he goes out and does like the assessing of properties. And he said, when he called me, he said, I just need to pick your brain. I have spent the last 3 weeks since those letters hit mailboxes, at least in Eden Prairie. He said, my entire day is taken up with angry phone calls and going out and reassessing. And he bought a house in Burnsville a year ago, shared with me what their tax assessed value is for 2023. And, or whatever, and I was like, well, I would, yeah, I know that house, it would sell for more than that. He was like, really? Yeah. So I think they just did a huge catch up.
Yeah.
And it is freaking people out.
You don't think it has to do with the inflated prices that people have been paying? They're not capitalizing kind of on?
No, I think what Sarah's saying is right. The price they're coming up with most of the time is the actual.
We just don't like it because it's such a
We
huge
just
jump.
don't.
We're so used to it being significantly lower than the actual sale price would be. And now it's gonna be a lot closer.
My mother-in-law called me yesterday. And my mother-in-law, her house was 612 tax assessed, and it just shifted to 890.
Good
And so
Lord.
she like emails me, can you run comps, because this is ridiculous. I got back to her, I'm like, your house is worth 930. She goes, well, who asked you anyway?
Rule of
Fell out
thumb
of
here,
them well.
assessed value on your taxes is usually 2/3 of what you could get. That, I mean,
Right.
Oh,
I'm
that's
thinking back
interesting.
to when I was, first, my ex-in-laws had a construction company and I used to help them with all their billing and all that they built half of Rosemont. It was your property taxes are supposed to be 2/3 of what you can sell your house for.
Not anymore.
That's the way it always was. I mean,
Sarah, in talking to him, did he mention that he's going out and changing the value?
He said he hasn't really been changing much. He said, as a matter of fact, his angriest person that called him, he went back out there and he had not been inside that house yet, and it was completely updated, and he's like, I hate to tell you, it's worth even more than what you're.
I'm gonna change it all right, but I'm raising it 100 grand.
Yeah,
Get out.
yeah. So no, he was not making many changes at all.
I didn't think so, but I mean, you know, that's the other side of the story. I mean, you can complain to them, but I mean,
our property taxes in Farmington are, well, it's the highest of any area I show up.
The least
And
affordable
I
city
just,
right now.
mine just went up another $550. It's ridiculous, and we don't even have a grocery store. I can't buy, orange.
That's
In
why,
Farmington unless I
that's
buy
why
a
it's
quick
high,
trip.
because there's
Unless I
just
say-
nothing to offset it.
Well, and the problem is, it's what I tell my husband all the time, he goes, why don't we have any of, because Farmington, I can remember years ago going to, meetings, and they had this, I knew the people on the board, whatever, they wanted to preserve downtown Farmington, they wanted to preserve the grocery store owner, because he'd owned that grocery store forever, we tried to get, there was a Cub that
Like
wanted to come to
Northfield.
town, they wouldn't give him access off of 50 there, And so they fought it and fought it and fought it. So everybody else around us built up, but we didn't. So now you have nothing but houses. And like I tell people, every time you sell a house, what is in those houses?
What
Kids.
happened to the
Where are those
grocery
kids?
store that was in downtown?
Oh, it closed.
Well, yeah,
Gone.
they couldn't compete. And like I say, every house has a kid in it. So now your schools are overcrowded. Wait until the old people in Farmington find out that we need, our schools are overcrowded, and then we're gonna have another, and our taxes are gonna go up again. But that's what our city has done to Farmington. It's just like, you give permit after permit for houses, but we have no business. And it's such a hole right now.
When
that-
Rosemont got a Chipotle, I was like, Farmington, you have missed the boat. Right? Rosemont has a Chipotle, okay?
We have nothing, two Subways, and my husband says the absolute, I won't say his words, but worst McDonald's in the state of Minnesota, because they always forget, but we have nothing to offer. And then people will say, oh, but I love our small town feel. Small town feel, there's houses all around you, we just have
The word
nothing.
Farmington like invokes 5 different locations for me, right? I mean,
Right.
obviously there's downtown Farmington area, there's like off of 50, there's off of Pilot Knob, like it's so different, yet it's all Farmington, so.
So if I
Not
have
a
any
small town
clients in
feel.
Farmington, I always try to find something over in Empire Township, because the taxes are that much cheaper. You know, and at least now they have a roundabout by Southern Hills Golf Course, so you can get on the 3, but yeah, our taxes are just astronomical.
And 30,000 places.
So
It's the same thing that Northfield did, is they didn't want anything big in there, so then they put it all in Dundas.
Yeah.
And now Dundas is great for taxes, and Northfield's not.
Yeah, Rosemont.
Yeah, like I say, Farmington's
Relatively
always
speaking.
the highest. Oh, my taxes are at 56. You know what my house looks like?
It's a mansion.
No, it's not.
Well, if anybody, like whenever a client of mine complains about taxes, I say, okay, well, I lived in a $220,000 house in upstate New York, and I paid $10,000 in taxes a year. Because we paid school taxes, so $5,000, I had to write a check out to the school district. And that's just how they roll, like that's what they do. And this house, you know, like because it was in the middle of nowhere, kind of, it wasn't worth as much. But like if it was like a house here, it would probably be worth like 5. And so then you're like, oh my God, this is such a huge disconnect. And it's just so expensive to live there, you know? And so I'm like, well, it could be worse. That's not what they want to hear, but
Right.
it
But
could
it makes a
be.
big difference with my first time home buyers. Okay, are you looking at Farmington, you're looking at Lakeville, because you're not gonna
Yeah.
get the house over here in Farmington, because your payment's gonna be too high now, and then I have to talk to Brian and say, okay, what do they qualify for now over here, and
I literally had to do that for a client of buyer. If you're looking in Farmington, we really want to be in Farmington. I'm like, here's what a 350 house is gonna cost you in Farmington. So now you don't qualify for 350,
Right.
you are at 270. Versus if you want to look in Lakeville, 196 over in Rosemont, you're good. But if you want to look in Farmington, we're changing, we're gonna set you up on a separate search for just Farmington for that criteria up to 275.
Yep.
Because yes.
it's terrible.
Okay, well, so that was the bitching part on taxes.
Yeah.
Well, April 15th is coming real fast,
Well, just since you guys are talking about Farmington, since it's kind of confusing, you may not know if you don't have children, the charter school is what's going into the old supermarket. Their Great Oaks is currently at the church there, and they've had so much attendance demand that they're growing beyond belief. And so they're gonna be opening in the fall. They've already started construction, so. And it's a charter, it's not a religious school, it's a charter school.
I'm totally fine with religious. We need a little more God in our schools.
Yeah, we kicked them out.
Okay, sorry, but have you guys heard about these furries?
I just learned about that over the
What is
weekend.
it?
Yeah.
They are allowing children, if they identify as an animal, a furry or something, like I got
They
nothing.
identify as a cat.
As a cat or
Furry
a
is that
dog.
someone who thinks that they're a cat.
Children, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, sitting at the foot of their teacher, if they're having classes, they can respond, meow, with the answers.
Yes.
I am not lying. Like, this is,
the thing.
it is a thing.
I will say, and I'm not defending anybody.
No, don't even say it then.
No.
She's gonna talk about how she identifies as a slot. Fine, Kelly, you can be a slot. We're okay with
So
it.
someone had posted that the other day, and it was Anna Thompson posted, there was like a thing on the overhead saying the new protocol for furries or whatever. And then the next time I went and it showed up in my feed, it had one of those things over the front of it saying, this has been proven to be false information. So I mean, I'm not defending anything.
Separate
But
post,
I
there
do
was.
have an aunt who works in the schools down near Rochester, and yeah, she's talking about there's, they walk around and they wear little cat ears and they're in the collar and
Do they use
You
a
can
litter
love
box?
They want litter boxes
in the school.
What?
Wait,
One of the communities by us, and this is the
Where are
junior
you from?
senior
Because I
high.
need to know
Belt
this.
Lane. So this is in
That's
the
not far from
Jordan,
you.
in the Jordan, school district. There was talk they were going in front of the school board and they were going to ask for litter boxes.
oh my.
Who does this?
This is like,
Wait,
but for
real,
real,
or like
it's
something
like
that's going to
students.
happen?
Am I in an alternate universe? What is going
You are all welcome.
She's like, now that I've stirred the pot, I'm gonna go.
And I'm out.
Christina, yeah, I got a listening appointment with a furry.
Bringing her a litter box.
Here's
It's a gift.
That's your closing gift.
And then
Yeah,
it's
Max.
gonna have-
Well,
we're
they
gonna
are
have to have more
needy.
bullying
Yeah.
control because people are bullying the cats. That's what
Yeah.
that's
Okay, so.
told my son, my grandkids
My
are going to
God.
private school. I don't care how many houses I have to sell, but my grandkids are going to private school. I'm done.
I'm just saying though, we might wanna get creative and start to market dog houses and cat houses.
I'm out. I'm out.
You know what? It's like the new tiny house.
No,
It's
not when it comes to
It's a
animals.
dog house.
I ain't doing it. Wow.
Well, I can't believe it.
Yes.
I don't know if it's officially gone, but there is a group of students that were talking about doing presentations in
Okay, as
school.
long as it's the students, I mean, there.
Yeah, no, well,
Well, where are they getting the ideas though?
Oh, they just let them do it in the hall.
I don't know. You don't expect that in the
I
further
got so many
out
questions.
cities. Like,
What in the
It
heck?
would not surprise me, Minneapolis St. Paul, but
I
I
personally think
want to
more
move
people
further
born in
out
the 70s and
where the
80s should be
school
running the
boards
show.
are better. Yeah, and it's happening.
I'm gonna sit back down.
What?
I said people from the 70s and 80s should be running the show. Accountability, like, right. Did you guys see that new Squid Game guy? He created a new show called Killing Old People, and it's supposed to be more violent. And the news is what do they call it? They've put it on, pushing it. I'm like,
Is it a video game?
no, it's a series, like, I guess Squid Games. My kid
Like
tried it once, I was like,
Netflix
you're not gonna watch TV for 2 months. Like, I'm not lying, this is our society, so if you guys wanna band together, we can all run for the White House.
Yeah.
All right, well, on that note, let's shift gears. What do you say?
Yeah.
We should talk about listings.
Now, there we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are you guys doing to get listings?
Meow.
Putting in cat boxes? Yeah.
Are we sharing?
Yeah, we only printed out.
I'll send you guys, this, electronic code. I only printed out a few, so. You don't know if you can share what.
We can just go print another one too.
Okay.
Can't be true.
This came from Tom Berry, and then I just thought it, John found it, and he just was like, what do you think? And I'm like, Tom Berry is great. He's a coach, and he puts out free stuff all the time, and so we just thought we would brainstorm for the last, last 20 minutes or so of today, like, you know what, John, just kind of where they're getting their listings from.
Yeah.
Like, those of you that have listings in the last 60 days that hit the market, are pending or sold or coming soon, where'd they come from? So, that's a
I'll try to
live
write it down on
interactive
your board here so
question.
you guys have something, but I will send that out also electronically to you guys.
Yeah.
So you have it. Trying to save.
Well, there's apparently a shortage of paper, so that's
Oh.
another thing. Anyways, where are your listings coming from?
Sphere.
Sphere?
Referrals.
Sphere levels?
Cheesecake.
Ah,
Oh, yeah.
Specifically at open houses.
that worked into open.
Right? Dude, yes.
You got a
That's
listing from that?
Yeah.
Love it. Do it.
Golden letter.
So cheesecake / open house, right?
Golden
Yeah,
letter-
I guess.
Golden letter plus Remind combo, the lethal combo.
What are you doing?
So who in the room can explain what a golden letter is, just in case there's people that don't know what a golden letter is?
That's Jessica's church.
It's a letter that you send out saying, I have a buyer in your neighborhood. Are you interested in selling, or do you know anybody who is? And then with Remind is, I've had productivity coaching agents be able to go get the emails and then for free send emails to those people, and they have gotten listing appointments because of that. And they strategically focus on like a condo unit or association where they have a buyer. And then they've been able to, okay, well, now I'm bringing that buyer in, and, so it,
Remind is free through the MLS, right? And there's so much info. I think we had a training on that a couple weeks ago, right?
and Jason Oliver did a session with them last week.
Yeah.
Like a info session for like an hour.
Oh, great.
So, it's an amazing resource.
So I did two, for Rosemont Townhouses, I just sent it to Rosemont Townhouses. And we've gotten a few calls. But then I did the same demo of townhouses, different associations. I did 2 years or more of ownership, 80% LTV, self-score over, what did I use again? 550 or something. Look back on it. And it turned like 180 townhomes into like 30, I think. And I just did a quick blast to those. I got 3 calls out of 30.
Yep.
Wow.
Nice. You have an email or a letter or what?
Golden letter.
Okay. Wow.
So it was more of like an experiment, just to kind of like get some out there, and
Yeah.
because I'm gonna give the rest to Olivia or whoever.
Right.
That's a great idea, because I've been just sending out thinking more is better.
No, it's like targeted.
Targeted.
Yeah.
Remind can
Someone
target
who-
it so well.
Right.
And if there's not enough, you just move the sell
Yep.
score or move the LTV or something, until you find what you need, just find that sweet spot,
I haven't gotten there, I will.
Yeah.
There's a class on that in the YouTube channel. And I promise you, if you're interested in doing Golden Letter, you need to invest in one important thing. That is Microsoft Office. I know Sheets is free, it's cool, but it is not as cool as using Microsoft Office as a one-stop shop.
So I can print multiple?
Mail merge.
A mail merge that works in Office creates one document, where Sheets and Word combination creates
A problem.
multiple
Yeah.
individual documents.
Or skip the office purchase.
Right, that's what I'm saying,
Living
Microsoft
here.
Office, one document.
Yeah, you can hire my daughter. She has $15 an hour, and she gets them done for many people in the office.
I know, but my grandkids like putting stickers on, so I'm good. They just do the stamps for me.
So at any rate, that is available in the YouTube channel. Check class, that last one.
I know Anna Thompson and I, with coaching, it'd been on her thing she was like, get these golden letters sent out. And the next time she had figured out her neighborhood, but she had, it was finally this last Tuesday, she's like, okay, I'm gonna get them sent out. She finished them up, she got them sent, she called me super excited because she put them in the mail one day. And before lunchtime the next day, someone had called her. And I was like, they literally must have been walking from their mailbox to their house. Like she had been like 14 hours since she put them in the mail.
And they want to sell off market.
They would
That's
like
the one
to
in
sell off
Bloomington,
market.
400, 4
Yeah.
bed, 3 bath.
And we've already talked about the script to change that off market,
Yes.
but this was her foot in the door.
Yeah,
Is that the one she posted about?
yeah.
Yeah, and on our accountability call, I said, I have a question for you, Anna. Do you work for free? She's like,
Oh, she and I have already talked about this.
Yeah, I'm like,
Actually, we do
Anna,
quite
delete the
often.
address, please leave the address,
Oh,
Anna.
that, yeah. I thought you meant to addressing Alva. I was like, you can hire.
no, but what I meant was, you don't have this as a withheld.
Right.
And if you don't have this as a
I
withheld,
didn't see the post. She had
she,
the address?
because
Yeah.
what she said on the
But then
thing
when I went
is,
to find it again to tag somebody on the team that had a buyer, it was, the address was down. I'm like, thank you.
I got in trouble for that last night too. Thanks, Melissa.
Well, no, but no, you're not in trouble, whatever you're talking
Yeah,
about.
then
you're
I
not-
share.
But no, she didn't, she
7 of us from the
didn't,
office shared it.
she doesn't have the listing signed at all, so she was being helpful to the agents in the office.
She wants
posting-
to be able to go back to that seller and say, there
I've got
are
agents in my
8
But so she
buyers in
posted
my
the
house.
full-blown
God,
address
right.
and doesn't have it as a signed
Okay.
Right, and so I said to her, now, the thing is you're putting the cart before the horse, because you have to say to her, instead of saying, hey, is it okay if I reach out to all the agents in my office? No, that's your value proposition. If you sign this withheld, I will go share this with 200 agents. And then she's like,
How was she like?
I'll do that today. I'm like, good, because you're scaring me, right? Like, but that was her first one. Like, how would she know?
Yeah.
Right? So.
Yeah, Golden Letters work. Golden Text. Candace Rooks has done 3-4 deals in the last 6 months from Golden Text through Mojo. Mojo's $40 a month. I mean, this is where we have to get creative. We're only gonna be able to get so much out of our sphere and our referrals, and we've got to just think outside the box here a little bit. So, I mean, yeah, your cheesecake girl, I mean, yeah, that's amazing.
So I have an idea that I shared with PC, and then yesterday I shared it with Jason Oliver, and his mouth like dropped open, and he's like, oh my God. So here is the deal, is I learned this from Gene Goldschmidt at the Coon Rapids. He's the PC in the ATL. And what I'm telling agents to do is, if you have no other job, I want you to get 5 practice buyer consultations for 2 weeks. And then I want you to do the same thing for listing appointments, right? And Jenny went out and did her first one with her parents, and her dad leans in and goes at the end, okay, so now we want to list the end of May. Does that work? She goes, you want to sell your house? He's like, well, yeah. And then the mom's like, can you put us on that practice MLS thing so we can start to see houses? And then, you know, that family friend, when you were 5, they want to move back to Minnesota. So why don't you do a practice with them too? She's like, what? And so Jean said, people fall into it. And then I was like, dude, why can't I just do it and be like, hey, you know, I was practicing, I'm not practicing, I'm getting a new listing presentation. So I was wondering if I could just share it with you, right? What it does is it builds the credibility of you in their mind, because they don't know what the hell you do, right? Like they see you're giving away cheesecake, they're like, man, she likes to cook, she likes to wrap presents, right? Like, no, I help people sell their home and I help people buy a home. So when you go in there and you present, they're like, oh my God, okay, well, I don't know anybody, but guess what? They'll think of you the next time they hear somebody that does. And Jean said they are falling into business. And I'm like, we can do that as agents. Hey, I have this new technology. I'd love to show it to you.
You see that from time to time on Facebook, like, hey, we're testing out new technology with some new agents in the office. Who's interested in the CNA in their house? And then all of a sudden, all these people are commenting, and it's like,
hello,
we're getting business from that. Yeah.
Just for Tricia and Mary, can you tell about PCs as well?
PC, so productivity coaching. So I work with all the agents that are new to real estate, and
For the brokerage.
Yeah, so get them off and running.
And to follow up, combining those 2 elements with the golden letter, every time they sign a new buyer, there aren't any houses available, right? Golden letter, what are you looking for? What specifically are you looking for? Narrow it down, say, I have a buyer looking for this house. And that doubles down on that whole thing. If you can get them an opportunity to buy off market, that's a win for your buyer, and you pick up the listing as well. And then you've got yourself another buyer who is then expecting you to do what? Another golden letter to another set of folks to create a chain. And it's just using golden letter, I think, ultimately, as a person who's now taught it in multiple classes, you want to target, whether it's using Remind to a specific area or your neighbor, your personal neighborhood to get information on your neighbors you don't know, but just blanket sending it to Brooklyn Park East. I'm not sure, I mean, it'll help, but it's not as helpful as some of the other ways you can use it to really reinforce what you're doing.
We're in a world of scams though. Like I
Right.
haven't sent a golden letter, but I've received one, and a couple clients have called me that they received one. And even though my client had only purchased the home 6 months ago, the letter was so dang good that they were like, should we reach out to this guy? Because they were very specific. I have buyers, John and Jane Doe, that are looking for a home in Crestview. Very, very specific. They want something, yeah, just like yours. They also want 4 bedrooms. I mean, it was so specific yet general. I mean, they want at least 3 bedrooms. That's every house in the world,
right.
basically, over 500, whatever. They were really impressed with it because it was very specific and it did not feel like a scam. And 3 years ago, we would send stuff like that. It was so generic. It was just a way to hopefully pick up a client.
Yeah.
Now we're working hard for our buyers and literally trying to find something off market for them. So the more specific I think you can make it, the less scam like it feels in a day and age where there's a scam everywhere.
It's true.
Business card or no business card? Anybody got thoughts on that? Is that, it's the last vestige of usefulness for business cards, I think, is now.
We
I started
don't
using mine.
because we use a company to mail for us.
I didn't last time, and then I got to thinking, are people thinking this is a scam? And I think if there's a business card in there, that pretty much eliminates the chance of a scam in my mind.
See, the first group that I sent out didn't have a business card in them. And then the first group had business cards. I got 1 call, the other one did not, and I received 7 calls.
Okay.
I like it
Plus
because
it
it
costs so much.
personalizes it and it puts a face to the name, feels less scam-like. But as soon as we get our name,
Signature with your photo and contact
Yeah.
information.
yeah, you can just cut and paste that on the letter.
Personalizing
Yeah.
it more, yeah.
Is anyone using a digital business card? As soon as we get our name or whatever, like Brad Locker from Remax, like he did it and it's so brilliant.
What is the
Like a
digital?
QR code in the letter?
Yeah, you could use just like a QR code and then it pulls up all the
That's actually
contact
genius.
information and you add it to your phone.
We actually,
Phone, email.
Blink is who we use for
Yeah.
that. BLINQ. BLINQ.
That's a really super good idea, put a QR code in the golden letter.
And
To
also,
whatever,
if you have it on your
Facebook
phone,
page, to your,
if you don't have your business card, you can pull it up, I have mine here. And then that person can scan it and it
Make it your
automatically puts
screensaver.
you in their phone, their contacts. This is, I
It's
got
like
this
adult
from Lily
version of
at
Snapchat.
Family reunion. I was like, that's really.
Yeah, that's where I got a taster.
I just did like
I
I
did
did
I was
that.
with someone when she came
And
out
then
to-
like when Irene sends stuff out, like even to agents in this office, if they haven't gotten anything from me, they get this first and then the message below it.
Yeah.
So it's just a
But people don't
photo.
recognize you because you're
Well, I know I need to make sure I shut up. I mean, but thank
Good
you.
thing.
That was a compliment she just told you.
Thank you.
Shut up.
Shut up, but thank you.
Oh, too funny.
what did you say, that pops up?
It's just a picture. So like when Irene
It's a
sends it.
JPEG of her business card.
Yeah. So she just sends this out as a picture and it pops up. So, but if I'm with somebody and I'm like, they're like, oh, do you have a business card? I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't. Shoot. What's your phone number? I'll send you mine.
Oh, she texted that.
Yeah.
I see.
The QR code's nice because they can just add it to their phone.
For their phone.
Yeah.
That's where Blink is
But I don't,
great too.
if they scan this, I don't have their phone number with that, you've got their contact.
It's a little old school, but it's,
You don't need to
Get
get
their
their cards
info.
out. You
Run
gotta
with
get
old
their
school, it
info,
works.
yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm marketing to Richfield where it's elderly people that are aging out of their homes. They're not gonna use that.
Yeah,
They
you
want
gotta
a
know your
handwritten
approach.
letter and
Yeah.
they wanna talk to you in person.
Yeah, right.
Plus I'm checking, so that's my.
So we're.
so I had a golden letter call me 2 days ago and I was like, I had to get to an appointment that had just walked in and I was like, oh, geez, I gotta come up with some objections here, right? She's like, yeah, so I just got your letter. I live in Lakeville and I'm looking to downsize. I'd like a house in Woodbury that's 3,000 to 4,000 square feet.
Downside.
So she keeps going and she's like, yeah, I've looked on Zillow and Redfin and I think, you know, what they're saying, I don't know if it's accurate, my house is 1.2 million. And she's like, and
You're like, I to this next appointment, I don't care, keep going.
I'm like, oh yeah. So we set it for 2:30 yesterday and then she emailed me at 11:30 at night and the night before. I threw my back out picking up a piece of fuzz on the carpet. I'm gonna need some more time, but the point is that she had been looking in Woodbury to live close to her daughter. She had sent out her own letters. She said to them, I'm not going to use a real estate agent. We'll use an attorney so that we can save money, right? She hasn't gotten any results. And her friend said 2 hours before she got the piece of mail, I think it's time you work with a real estate agent because you can't find anything in Woodbury. You need an agent. So then she goes, and then your letter came. And I said, well, I'm so glad you opened it. Right?
Yeah.
So then I said, well, guess what?
Golden letter.
Right? I said, well, guess what? I have more than just their address. I can get their email address, and I can get their phone number, and I can just go knock on their door. which I will send a PC agent
Yeah,
to go do that, right? And she's like, oh my gosh, that would be amazing. You know, because I don't have a real estate agent,
Yeah.
and you sent me this, and if you come over here, I will work with you.
Nice.
And the money doesn't come out of their pocket to hire you as a buyer.
I was gonna say, some
Right.
people don't know.
I know.
Don't need to
I'm
work for free.
For free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
You
give me
never
that
know.
listing and we are good.
Right.
Is there any, just to wrap it up, is there any training that we
Remind.
need? More remind?
Yeah, because I
Okay.
couldn't make the one.
Okay, more remind?
Yeah.
What else?
Can we get someone teaching Remind who doesn't sound like Daisy Do?
Oh my God, that was hysterical.
What?
Oh, that was so
She's
bad.
from Remind. She's like,
Yes.
this is Remind.
Yes.
I'm so glad to see you today. I'm gonna take off my camera, however. I
That was
texted
bad.
Dina, I was like, oh
Well,
my God.
And now we're gonna all start calling you Daisy,
Yeah.
Jessica,
Yeah.
so
It was-
yes, we
It
can,
was interesting.
I'm sure Jason Oliver would be happy.
He is amazing. If we could get Jason, that'd be
All right.
fantastic.
Well, and he knows a lot about it too.
Yeah, we can do that.
And even in the workshop format versus,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because we couldn't, like, we could ask her questions, but she went through her whole spiel, and then it was like, at the end, I was like, what about this? What about that?
Things you need to be able to be doing that
Right.
along with the.
Yeah. Yeah, so workshop would be good.
We can do a workshop, just do like a 2-hour, bring in lunch. Bribe Jason Oliver with some tequila or something, right?
Cheesecake.
Cheesecake, there you go.
Jason Oliver in cut-off jean shorts wouldn't be too bad.
You're so bad.
Hashtag too far.
Way too
I don't
far.
think you will teach her.
So far.
Gonna be a furry?
Right.
Oh, gosh. All right, any other training?
No.
Anything else? Remind?
Okay.
We will get it.
Absolutely.
Say hi to our friends Mary and Trisha before everybody leaves. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming.
Okay.
Good to meet you.
Yeah, right, it was a little entertaining today, yeah.